Hey, yabba dabba doo. Over to you, Brady.
How are you doing, Tim?
I'm really good tonight, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing real good. Waiting for some of the other guys to pop in here. They said they should be in here shortly, and I guess we've got a new musician. I'll let him hop in and introduce himself, but we're going to let him showcase his music, and then we're going to kind of show him the ropes of sessions and what we plan to do. We finally have another musician, so this will be an interesting one.
You're
My
welcome.
friend, my friend Jacob will be on here shortly as well, so we'll have a new person to torture and poke them and prod them and give them sessions homework and uh, assimilate them.
So I don't want to sound mean, Brady, but it sounds like you're already being tortured. Did somebody throw you down a well because you have all that?
Oh, here. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. Not that I'm rude
Yeah.
or anything. Just kind of wondering. You must have something planned.
Yeah, well, I was gonna play some music with some decent reverb. Every time I've tried to do it before, it sounded kind of flat, and now I got the reverb working again, so it's should sound good tonight. But I want to hear someone else's music tonight, though. That's not what I'm excited about.
And Chris, how did your 24-hour Twitch go?
Oh, I'm not entirely certain I'm ready to talk about it. Not that was not good. Well, it started off. I had an injury, so controller holding hands, the main support hands, and that made things complicated. I also woke up at 5 o'clock Friday morning, went to work, did work, came home, immediately went to bed to rest up and sleep for the stream. Couldn't sleep because I was nervous. Couldn't sleep because I was nervous. 10 o'clock p.m. rolls around. I start the stream anyway. I make it to 8 in the morning and give up. I couldn't do it because it was way too much time.
No,
So I
wait,
failed.
wait, when you do play that for that amount of time, don't you get kind of a nauseous in your mind anyway? I know what it's like to play games, man. I used to play kind of for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then, and after that I feel a bit like, oh, but how do you? I mean, how do you? I mean, I was watching you for a few, some time the other night, and I was thinking, how do you? Doesn't your mind just assimilate to the actual game itself, and then you must find stepping back into your real life quite a, you know, an exit in the right
Uh,
terms.
well, I think just like anybody who deals with computer screens or screens all the time, they can separate the visually they can separate anything after prolonged exposure. But like mentally, I still want to go and shoot aliens right now, but I just don't want to touch a controller because I don't even want to sit in this chair. It's all uncomfortable now. Too long, my ass is sore. Uh, everything about my attempt was a failure.
Hey, he's having a hard time getting in using that link. It's just letting him view, not get in here for some reason. Can you share that link one more time?
Hmm.
Did you want to just share the link that you sent me in the text message?
Yeah, whatever one worked for
I'll
you.
put it, I'll put it in the sidebar for you. Then, my.
There we go. Okay.
So Chris,
Yeah.
which particular games? I mean, I saw you play a bit of Destiny. Is there any particular, you know, games you go right down that you're really good on? Like, is GTA one of your favourites? I mean, I know Doom is one that people go down the rabbit hole with. Is there any particular favourites of yours?
I think currently in my gaming, I retired from gaming when I turned 25, and I didn't pick it back up until I hit 30ish, 29ish. Like I gave up video games and decided my garden was more fun. And when I finally got back into games, I think Destiny was my big game, and that's still kind of my big game, and it's still not that huge on it, but between that and Street Fighter, and even at that, I really don't game very much. I'd like to play more, but it's like video games are just kind of boring. Don't tell anybody I said that because of the whole Twitch stream thing right here. Just, but they're kind of boring. I play them to be social. It's part of my forcing myself exposure therapy social behavior.
That works.
Okay. Well,
You know?
you tapped upon a vein there, Chris. I mean, boring in what sense? I mean, what, in the sense they haven't got any
Well,
narrative in the storyline, that they're just flat, that it's just a completely repetitive, just shoot and shoot and shoot. What's boring
pretty
about it?
much all of the above. Yeah. Back in the day, early '90s and mid '80s, that range of video games, there was a storyline, and the graphics were horrible and the gameplay was bad, but the games themselves, because the storyline could grab you and suck you in, and there was hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay, they were fun. But nowadays games are literally shoot the guy, shoot the guy, drive car, steal car, hit people. That's unfortunate, but that's what sells to people.
Yeah, because I mean, we mentioned this before quickly, but I mean, there's a whole. Is that got anything to do with this pushback that's been, out deliberately about trying to make games more feminine in that sense rather than masculine? So there's this whole kind of drive about making games more, open to the female market. Do you think that's got anything to do with it, or is it just simply they just run out of ideas? It's like the film industry and the music industry, they're just repeating the same old dirge over and over
I,
again.
they're just trying to find the derivative of whatever sells the most and makes the most money, and yeah, just like the film industry, just like the music industry and everything else, they're just whatever makes the most money is what they're putting out. So
Well, we have our guest in here. We had technical difficulties getting him in, but we're good to go now. Welcome.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Thanks for showing up.
Of course. Good to be
Welcome
here.
to Sessions, and I guess we should give you kind of a quick rundown on what Sessions is exactly. And basically, we started this. This is kind of an umbrella project for a lot of different things in the technology space and music and art. That a lot of us are blockchain enthusiasts, art enthusiasts, or musicians, or all of the above. And this is kind of a think tank where we talk about a lot of those things, and some of us have our own little side projects and things we're doing. And Sessions is meant to be kind of a new way to reward people and change the way people look at intellectual property in general, and just kind of take a different approach, because a lot of things are changing and we have a lot of technologies to allow those things to happen. But now that you're on Sessions, you'll start hearing a lot about that. But I think a lot of us want to have an introduction from you. I liked your music, and I kind of want to hear your take on your music and what you do, and just a brief introduction, if you would.
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Kanan. I go by Osui as a musician, and I've been making music for about 20 years now. About 6 years ago, I started my band, Alters, and we started traveling and playing around the United States, playing around Canada. I gained a huge amount of perspective while we were doing that. While we were traveling, I decided that I should probably go back to school, college, that is, and so I decided to enroll online, and so I'm kind of in that process. I'm getting my master's degree in creative writing at Full Sail University, an online program. And so
Nice.
since that has been going on, I have not been traveling, but I've still been creating a ton of music. And so I started the Osui SoundCloud as just a way to share what I was creating with people.
Awesome.
Now, David,
Very cool.
I've got to ask you from someone over here. I did a creative. Well, I did a creative writing one over here in England. So I've got to ask you about it, dude. I mean, how have you found it? And I can give you my perspective because I went back as a mature student just like you, and I found it very well. I got my own thoughts on it. But how are you finding the subject? Because I'll just give you my overview. I felt I went in and I was like, oh, okay, I want to learn about the skills of creative writing, and all I got was really bombarded about certain ideologies from certain, lectures about certain issues. So that was just my experience. I'm fascinated that you say that in America. So how you found that experience? Because
Well, what I've experienced so far is kind of a lot of what you are talking about. I've experienced different philosophy and different, a course called Mastery, which kind of just was introduction into beginning a master's program. And so we read a book called Mastery by Robert Greene, which went through a bunch of different artists throughout history, kind of explained their story, their transition from three different phases were used: apprenticeship, creative active, and then the mastery stage. And so at this point in my life, I feel like I'm entering a creative active stage as far as music is concerned. As far as my creative writing, I'm really just getting started. I have a background in film. I got my undergraduate in digital cinematography, where we got a little bit of script writing, a little bit of screenwriting, but I wanted to dive deeper into that. And so I wanted to, really understand the backgrounds, the different formats for different types of media, all of that kind of thing. And I, so far, am just at the beginning of the program and have not really experienced that much of that type of stuff yet. But we're getting started. So far, it's been a giant grammar course so far, and I think I've been doing pretty well. Some of my classmates have been struggling, and that's kind of something online is kind of interesting because my experience is pretty much entirely independent, and so the only time I see my classmates' feedback is pretty much once a week in a discussion post, and a lot of times people are struggling on stuff that I am really not having issues with. But yeah, like I said, I'm at the very beginning of the program. I haven't gotten much into the writing portion of it yet.
okay, I'll flip this around to you. If I was to say to you, I give you 20 students, and I say to them, okay, they're fascinated about the creativity element. Maybe it's writing or music, because it's all the same sort of, creativity. What would be your first lesson? You would sit them down and say, right, this is what you need to do to explore the vein of creativity.
Wow. My first lesson would be pretty much entirely different from anything that a traditional school would offer. I guess what I would do is say, all right, why are we doing this? What's the meaning behind all of this? And I guess that would be day one, and that probably wouldn't end for years until we were discovering what we were truly called to be creating. And I still feel like I'm in the process every day of figuring out what I will actually be contributing to the creative world one day. Right now, I'm writing music, and I've been involved in the music world for years, but I have a feeling that I, will be called elsewhere at a certain time in my life, or I will be called to a greater role within the musical realm, which would be, ideal as well. I need to grab my charger.
So
But
you meant,
meditation would have a big part to do with that. Just understanding the status of what's happening globally. I think all of those things are very important to understanding why art is created and why art needs to be created and the message that it needs to bring to the table.
so I mean, just you as a person. I mean, you mentioned, let's go back to music. I mean, when do you I mean, it's two process questions. I mean, do you actually write some of the melodies and tunes and tracks? And if you do, when do you find the most time that you're creative? I mean, I do this because I've discussed this with many musicians and stuff, and there seems to be something, and I'm fascinated about this. I think there's something about the period between us coming out of sleep and coming back into our waking lives, whether it's
Yeah.
first thing when you wake up or just beforehand. And I'm fascinated.
So,
I'm from a musician's point of view. When do you find the most time you're most creative?
so the time that I've actually found to be most productive and creative for me recently has been between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And so I will literally fall asleep at between 9 and 10 p.m., uh, wake up between 2 and 3, and then get on the computer and just start writing. And a lot of times I can finish an entire song before 6 a.m., and around 6 a.m. is when I need to actually start getting my day going, or if I don't have to start getting my day going, I fall back asleep sometimes, take another nap, something. But yeah, it is definitely right after I wake up, and a lot of that has to do with taking energy from dreams, taking energy from sleep, and transferring it right into the artwork. Um, a couple times, this has happened to me a couple times. I've gotten inspirations for songs in a dream, but one time I literally wrote an entire song in a dream, woke up within 45 minutes, had the entire thing down on the computer. And it was one of my most, it was a project a long time ago, but it was one of the more successful songs in that project. Monetarily, just popularity wise, all of the above.
See, this is a fascinating thing to me. Like I said, I've spoken to many creative people, especially musicians, who would almost verbatim say exactly the same what you just said then. And then I think, why aren't more live shows done at 3 o'clock in the morning? I mean, maybe I'm speaking as an English, from this part of the world, but everything over here closes at 11 o'clock and it's done. And I think some of the most creative people I know all get really their juices flowing through the middle of the night, and yet I've always thinking, is it maybe that's a barrier that, again, what you were mentioning, Brady, maybe that's a barrier that's going to be dissolved in the new world we're going to break into, where people are given more freedom to go and see what they like when they like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait.
I definitely think that we will see that standard kind of change. Hang on, guys. I need to plug in my charger.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, I see that change coming as well because, I mean, look what we're doing right now. We could really do this at any point in time, and the internet connections are just getting faster. I mean, eventually we're going to be able to jam over the internet. I mean, there's some programs that you can already do that, but for the most part, I mean, we're almost there to where we can start doing shows at any point in time. I mean, if you wake up and you're feeling creative, there's nothing stopping you from turning Periscope on and just jamming out for the world, and it's recorded, and there you go. That was your most creative moment.
All right. And yeah, I just recently started periscoping, and that has been something that I've been doing. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to capture the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. time frame on Periscope just because I do live with 4 other guys. So when I'm writing music in that time frame, I'm just using headphones, and I get so in the zone that I don't even know if I would be good on Periscope in that time frame.
Be you just staring at the screen like this?
Yeah, it's a lot of staring, a lot of closing my eyes. Honestly, I like to close my eyes and visualize the music. That's a phenomenon that has happened to me in the last year or two, where I've been able to visualize the music that I've written, and that's interesting because there's this concept that the brain physically changes after about 10,000 hours of practice, and it allows for new types of experiences to come in. And I think that I probably hit that 10,000 hours within the last year or two regarding music. The study of musical theory, the study of musical production, and I do it all. I play a bunch of instruments. I produce music. I compose for film. I do a lot of different stuff, and I
See,
find all of it equally interesting.
see, one of and for someone who's like you just said there, you seem to be really balls deep in the theory and stuff. And I again, this is something else I've spoken to a couple of guys who used to be in my band, and they used to be really, like I say, really up on the musical theory, gone to all the, done all up to really high levels. And then the reason they kind of like, because we started off as just a straight normal band, I was like, wow, you're far too good to be playing just in what we're doing. And they were saying, no, what I want to do now is unlearn all the shit I've learned through college and university.
Yeah.
And they actually got to the point in saying, I remember one guy who was, he was the best musician I've ever known, and he actually said to me, he said, it's like a curse. And I said to him, in what way? And he said, put it this way. He said, I now can't do anything without being in that frame of mind. He said, he put it this way. He said, imagine you being a geologist. He said, and you spend all your life looking at rocks. You can't look at a mountain range without looking and seeing the beauty for it. All you're looking at is the rocks. And that's what he said. Like with all the stuff he had learned, all the years of doing that and going through and being a conductor in orchestra and stuff. And he said, I almost lost the, for want of a better word, the soul of what it was all about. And he said, I had to literally just walk away from music, didn't listen to anything, and he ended up traveling around South America and all sorts. And I just wondered if it was the same. Is that a fear that you have in your mind, or a concern you have in your mind about going so deep into the theory that you lose the actual soul process, if you want, for want of a better word?
Well, I don't really have that fear as far as going into music theory itself. I don't think that I could go far enough into musical theory to lose the energy and the soul behind the music. However, what I can say is my experience with my first band that was successful, Alters. What ended up happening was we were traveling so much, and that became such a huge part of my life that I was unable to experience the world through any other perspective except this. I was in an underground, like, hardcore punk band, screaming in people's faces every night, and I'm talking like, less than 50 people a night, making barely anything, barely surviving on ramen and Taco Bell. But that's just a crazy life. That kind of life takes a toll after years, and I kind of went a little nuts after that, and I had to take a big step back from what we were doing. Took a couple years off the road, at least a year off from playing any live music, and I was still writing music here and there, but I definitely took a huge break, and that allowed me to kind of find a appreciation for the original energy. Because what ended up happening, being in a band for so long, we just got caught up in the routine of it, caught up in what we had to do to survive, caught up in all these different pressures from fan base, pressures from record label, all this stuff, when in the end we just really wanted to just express ourselves, didn't care about any of that stuff. But that becomes very difficult in the traditional musical industry, which is what we were kind of involved with. Even though it was a very small underground portion of it, we were definitely in the music industry, like selling records, trying to get playtime, all of it.
Well, okay, I mean, it's an interesting vein to sort of tap upon. I mean, you mentioned then you talk about the problems with the fans and the record industry. Okay, on your list of what was the main problem, what was the main issue? Was the fans a top issue? Was it the people above you? What was
No,
the main one?
I mean, the main issue inevitably was ourselves. Being so young, and when we started the band, we were 18. We left 2 days after I graduated high school. We were on the road. and we were traveling. We recorded, and we were signed. We were signed to Face Down Records, which we had a 3-album deal with within a year. So we hit it hard, and we were able to accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish. And the reason we were able to do that is because throughout high school, that same group of guys, we had played in multiple bands and kind of had figured out a little bit of the way before we started on this band. But we were young. We didn't know who we were as people, which translated into not knowing who we were as musicians, what the band was going to be as a musical group, what our message would end up being, all sorts of problems that we ran into. And really what the band ended up doing is not allowing us to each grow up in the way that would have been natural. It kind of kept us into stuck at what we were at 18, because now we have a record label and a fan base that is pressuring us into releasing music that is similar to that kind of music. Obviously, everyone expects a little growth, but I don't think no one in that small scene of music that we were in expected the type of growth that we brought to the table, and that kind of caused some problems. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we were in a we were a part of a Christian record label, and our band kind of started as a Christian band and ended up being just entirely more open-minded than that single perspective. So that was very limiting as well.
Can I ask you what your opinion is of intellectual property and copyright, and kind of let you open up about that and your perspective of that? Because there's a lot of things happening that's going to change the way that works over the next 10 years, and I'd like to hear your perspective and talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so I'm unfamiliar with the changes that might be happening, but I'm pretty familiar with how the system works now. I think that the system it offers a lot of protection to individual artists. It offers a lot of protection to artists that are starting up on the internet. Anything we put up on the internet, anything that's published, is automatically protected right away. Mm-hmm. So that's those are kind of cool features of the copyright law. One cool thing I think one interesting aspect of copyright law is that eventually items go into the public domain. Mm-hmm. So eventually, old pieces of music can be reworked, or old novels can be reworked into screenplays, readapted into a TV series, or whatever that is. I think that's cool. I think that allows artists to be inspired by works in the past and potentially recreate those in a modern light, which I think is a cool aspect of art. It's one aspect of art that I think is cool.
What about the Collaborative Commons licenses? And there's what I'm talking about. Some of the changes are going to be really affecting the Collaborative Commons in ways that are going to allow people to monetize Collaborative Commons works rather than just give it up for free. It's gone, and a bunch of people use it. There's going to be really interesting ways to monetize that directly. And I was wondering, from your personal current perspective, what you think about it.
I think that all that stuff sounds amazing. I think that all of that stuff is becoming more and more popular. Even today, people are able to monetize on their artwork more independently than they ever have before. I mean, look at platforms like Etsy, and even in Twitch, people can be streaming, making music, and people can subscribe, and there's potential to monetize on your art. And that is exciting. It's exciting that that's becoming more possible. It's exciting that that's becoming more of like a standard of people should have to pay for that type of thing instead of it just being expected for artists to just put stuff up on the internet and be like, hey, this is, like with my music, I put everything that I make up on, well, not everything that I make, everything that I want to share that I make, I put up on the internet for free right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's literally, it's 20 years of work, 20 years of practice, 20 years of gaining a skill set to create music, and it is, however many hours and mental, emotional stress, emotional baggage, mental
Yeah.
stress,
Yeah.
all that stuff that I put into the music, and I just put it out for free. And that's the thing is, like, I'm going to do that for a long time. That's just going to be the way that it works for a long time. Eventually, maybe someone's going to come around and be like, hey, we want to pay you for this. Or eventually I might have a big enough fan base to be like, hey, do you guys mind paying me for this now? And we'll see what happens.
Well,
But
the interesting thing really is when I say there's going to be ways to monetize free content and open source and collaborative commons work, is there's new financial networks and financial technology, and that's actually, instead of a company or a person or a fan paying you for it, the network itself will actually be paying you for interacting with the network and putting songs and content onto the network, and the network itself will actually distribute a token that has a monetary value that you can go exchange for real money. And that's where a lot of this is going to change, to where the collaborative commons more so gets to where, let's say you and I collaborate on a song, for instance. That's actually what Sessions is. It's a collaboration platform is what we're kind of moving towards. It's more of a think tank at the moment, but that's the end goal, is once we really get all the development finished, that's where we're going to be. And so right now we're using a time banking model, basically. So you come onto Sessions, you have already earned time banking hours because you came onto a session, and we're exchanging time. So you're here publicly hanging out with us on Sessions and talking about it. And I'm going to use the same kind of model with my own music, to where if someone comes on and collaborates with me on music, I'm just putting them on a spreadsheet that so-and-so worked on it, and I'm going to give them attribution on the license and do collaborative commons licenses on everything. But when it gets to the point where these networks I'm talking about are actually live, instead of having to like call up all those people on that spreadsheet and say, hey, okay, so I made $600 on this song, $700 on that song, you had this much percentage, let me write you a check, and having to go write a check to all those people, these financial networks will actually allow you to automate all of that to where it just happens in real time, and you don't even think about it. You just upload your music, and it just happens, and you don't have to worry about it. You just have to give the person the attribution once these networks are live. And right now we're kind of in the beginning, budding stages of this technology. So what we're doing right now is just encouraging people to just log who's working with each other, and collaborate with one another, come on to Sessions and earn some Sessions tokens, which on Sessions we have Tim did a crowd sale for a digital currency that we're going to be using very closely with what I'm talking about, called seeds. And seeds are basically the Sessions dollars, if you will. But we don't like to talk about money so much because, as an artist, you start talking about the monetary factor, and you're no longer talking about art anymore. You're trying to figure out how to monetize something to the best. It completely changes the entire direction
Absolutely.
of the artwork.
Two different realms.
Yeah, so we're calling them seeds, and also we're doing this time banking type system because it's not so much we're paying each other. If you think about it, time is the most valuable thing on Earth, and that's what we're exchanging right now, and that's what you should give people attribution for, even if they aren't an artist or a musician and they just came onto a session. The idea of Sessions is to get, like you personally, to encourage you to go start your own sessions for your work. And I have my own sessions for my work. Patches has his own sessions, and Tim has his own sessions. which Tim actually hosts another podcast, which this Sessions is a branch of his podcast called Life is People, and
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
his
I
project.
was looking at
So
that earlier.
so we all have our own little projects here, and that's really the idea, is to kind of create a model that everyone can use that's totally open. It's not like a company that we're trying to like patent it. It's just creating some type of platform for creative people to stand on together and have an easy way to exchange value and time and collaborate easily and also give people attribution. But I kind of rambled a little bit, but that's kind of in a nutshell, that's really what Sessions is all about.
That sounds great, and yeah, I'm very excited about those changes coming to the Creative Commons and especially Collaborative Commons. Collaboration is the key to everything.
Hmm.
The key to survival in the art world, the key to making enough money to eat, like literal survival. Yeah, it's everything.
Well, just to let you know, my music, if you go look at SoundCloud, it's just soundcloud.com/McMuse. Uh, all my music is on the Collaborative Commons. Granted, give me attribution if you're going to use it, but you're more than welcome if you have something you want to use, or because I'm going to be publishing the stems. You just got to ask me. I don't have them published anywhere yet, but I'm going to be putting them on these networks I'm talking about because that's going to be the easiest way to go about doing it.
Right.
Because it just makes it a no-brainer. But if you want them, just let me know. And I do a lot of guitar work, and if you want something in my style, just let me know. I'll play a little bit of it here today on session so you can kind of get an idea of what I have. And we'd love to hear what you have today, too, if you've got something to sample.
Yeah, I've got a new track that I haven't released yet that I could send over to you guys somehow
Okay.
if someone wants to play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Chris, I'm just going to ask you again. I'm fascinated in this because you played it. You kind of like music I love. I love that kind of heavy music stuff, and
Yeah.
So I have to ask you this: what was the first album or track that you went, this is it? This is the, we all heard music in our lives. We all kind of listened to that back. What was the first one that you went, wow, that's the one that's going to really get me up and get me want to play guitar and play the band stuff?
Oh, well, I never got into the feeling that I needed to play it myself, but to listen to the same track over, and I had to find the name of it because, like, I listened to the song on repeat for years and years, like, get me to sleep and to wake me up, but I can't remember the name of it to save my life.
That's all right. When you find it, post it in there.
Well, I'll pass that question down. I mean, again,
Say again, Tim. I'm
I'll
sorry.
pass the question down both to you, Brady, and both of you. I mean, what was the first piece of music that you kind of went, that's it? I mean, that was the album, or that was the track. That, you thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up a guitar and I'm going to go and play a piece of music. So we're all got this in common, man, and there's always that one piece of music. So I'm fascinated to know what it is for both of you, really, all three of you.
Me personally, it was my family. My family's full of musicians. I used to sit backstage while they were on stage playing and gigging, and I would be back there just watching, like, my grandfather and my uncles and my mother, and they're just sitting there on stage playing and just doing what they love. And that right there, just hearing them, and a lot of it was cover songs. Some of it they wrote. Some of it they were just jam bands playing jazz, whatever. And that right there, I think, is part of the reason why I like just jazz in general, because that improvisation and watching my family play when I was growing up, that's what did it for me. There wasn't really a single song, to be honest.
Okay, so there wasn't the reason even that one, Brady. There wasn't particularly an album that you went, okay, that's really kind of enlightened me, and that's the one album that really kind of shook my world. There's not even that with you at all. There's not even a particular album that went, I'll put this in that category of like that really shook my world about music.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll say the songs I listened to on repeat, like Chris was talking about, it was definitely Pink Floyd, and you'll probably hear a lot of that influence in my music. But no, I mean Pink Floyd can't even top my family. But they were playing Pink Floyd covers though, so that's that might have been part of that. What about you?
Me? Or you open it?
Well, anybody really. I want to hear everybody's.
I can go. My
Yeah, go on.
I remember when I was a kid, there was two albums specifically that kind of changed my life and made me know that I would be going into music. The first one is the Beatles' Greatest Hits album, One,
Yeah.
just the red album with the yellow one on it. My dad got that for me pretty much when it came out, I think, and that changed everything. That was just, I had that CD on all the time, and I was a kid. I was 5 or 6 years old, and I had already been playing piano at that point for a couple of years, and really the first time that I touched a piano, I knew that was it. But another album that came to me in childhood, thanks to my parents, was Peter Gabriel, So, the album So by Peter Gabriel, and that is just literally, it stuck with me for some reason, and it still inspires me today.
A strange
Nice,
one
man.
for me was the Talking Heads.
Talking Heads.
That's more nostalgic than like awestruck.
Well, yeah, so is maybe Peter Gabriel is too, although I think Peter Gabriel is amazing. One of the best pop musicians to ever have lived.
Yeah. I'll definitely
Well,
say too. I had the Beatles on repeat as well, around the same age. I'm sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, dude, I'm in that small little band of people that I'm my feelings towards the Beatles are exactly like Chris feels towards the Pink Floyd, dude. I can't stand them. Like they're a bunch of little pop boys all dancing around. But anyway, no, I mean, man, I was interested because as a child, I used to love 1812 Overture. That used to do something for me. I used to love putting earphones on and listening to that as a little kid.
Yeah.
And then the other one was, and again, you had the kind of band, the music that gets you into sort of stuff. So when I was, especially my secondary school, I was really into metal. But again, I listened to a lot of metal bands. Like I put a lot of them up, the classics, the Dios and all that. But it wasn't until I heard something like, well, ironically, Slayer and Suicidal Tendencies, the Art of Rebellion album, and that was like, whoa, this was this whole thing. I kind of even in metal, it was all like I love the feel of it, but it was just open to me. It was my first time, especially the Suicidal Tendencies album. It opened my eyes to a whole side of America I'd never even thought about that with music.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of American bands and they were all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly there was this guys all from this kind of like looking like they did Latino style. And I'm like, whoa, and really heavy, funky stuff. So yeah, but Beatles, man, don't even start. Honestly, that's one subject. It's like, we mentioned about money. That's one with me. It's like, this is my trigger one. It sets me off, man. I need a safe space after you mentioned the Beatles.
Tim. Speaking of which, speaking of our swear box, yeah, I'm sorry. How do you pronounce your screen name? Is Osui?
Osui, yeah.
Osui. Okay, is that what you like to be addressed as?
Yeah, that's probably what I'll go as.
Okay, cool. We have a swear box because we don't like bringing money into the equation. So I just said it again, so I have to put some in the swear box. But that's a thing here. And if you say it, you got to put some money in the swear box. There we go. There's another one. But no, I put some in. We have a chat channel that I just started on Slack, and it has a bot, a tipping bot, and I put it in there. So the bot is fueled at the moment from me saying that word too many times.
Nice. Well, I put a link to that song I was talking about in the chat. I also linked my old band's stuff for you guys. It's definitely pretty metal and it's heavy. It's an even different perspective on American subculture. Very small part of American subculture.
Okay.
Not that it's strictly American, although we just happen to experience a pretty much strictly American side of things.
I have to ask, what's the if there is, what's the meaning behind a sui?
Uh, the meaning behind the name is it's literally a name that I picked to play video games with in middle school, and it's stuck with me my entire life. I still use it for all the video games I play, so I figured I might as well just be that. That's for music. It might as well just be that. There's nothing better that I'll ever come up with. So, and it
You do
seriously
realize, dude,
it almost feels like a second persona as well, which is interesting to say.
see
But
that
I do
I,
feel a little split.
I was just going to say that wasn't the answer I was expecting. I was expecting, oh, it's an Indian incarnation of a spirit from the Indian. It was like, man, you could put a better story to that one, dude. You
Well,
know
you
what I mean?
know
I want some sort of like.
what's actually really interesting is when I picked the name Osui, I was in middle school, completely unaware of the realities of the world, the realities of the universe, the realities of whatever. And then 10 years after that, I was going through a crisis, going through a breakup of a girl that I had known for half my life, and definitely saw myself with for a long period of time. Anyways, we ended up breaking up, and I was totally heartbroken, and I was looking for what was anything to kind of help me out of this situation. I found a practice of Japanese energy healing called Reiki. And I found that one of the original practitioners of Reiki, one of the original modern practitioners of Reiki, his name was Usui. It's literally one letter off from the name that I picked in middle school. And he's gone. He's dead and gone. Been dead and gone for a while. But just, really interesting, and especially coming into that perspective of, everything is connected, everything happens for a reason, and every interaction between anything, there's meaning behind it. It's not just random bullshit that's colliding with each other. At least I don't believe that. I think that everything has a set reason, a set meaning, a specific reason, a specific set of purposes for happening, and when I saw that kind of opened my eyes. I was like, okay, maybe there is something deeper to this, to Osui. When I made that name in middle school, it was when I felt, the most myself. Playing video games in middle school was literally the most free experience I've probably had in my entire life. It was just and I was playing massive MMORPGs where you can literally do whatever you want, create the exact character and set of outcomes you want, and that was just it was really interesting to come back to that name and kind of be re-accepting this freedom, this complete freedom and control over real reality as opposed to a fictional video game reality.
Hey, on a side note, that chat room I was telling you about that we have, I just got it started, so there's only a few of us in there. But if you pop in there, I'll kind of show you how the tip bot works and toss you a little bit of Bitcoin that you can play with and see how the tipping is going to work. So, but I just sent it to your email if you want to hop in there.
I posted a link to it in the chat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, make that easier. It also has the title of the song that I couldn't remember the name of it.
Right.
So, Osui, what kind of inspiration do you find? What is your muse?
My muse right now is video games, movies, anime. Japanese anime is hugely inspiring. Um, Marijuana, as silly as that is. I live in Colorado, and I kind of was behind the marijuana game until it was legalized. I didn't try it or anything until just a couple of years ago. When I experienced that, that was like a whole different world for my music. Um, yeah, so those are kind of the things. But seriously, a lot of video games. I really am inspired by the freedom and the choices you make in video games, the outcomes of those choices, the ability that you can see exactly how it happens, how it's gonna play out, and you can kind of apply those lessons to real world situations. That becomes really an interesting learning tool.
Now, it's fascinating you say that. I don't know if you want to go down this rabbit hole, but me and Chris were talking about this before we went live. I mean, you just mentioned then, and I could almost use word for word what you just said, come from a very kind of political view and say, see, what happened last week in Nice is exactly the reason why computer games should be banned.
Right. Okay. So, kind of what I have to say to that is I don't know exactly what the relation is between video games and violence. What I do know is that this world is actually becoming a less violent place. So, regardless of the fact that the media is highlighting these attacks and, whatever else happens, and it happens all over the world every single day. It happens in America every day. It happens in Europe every day. It happens in Africa every day. It happens in Asia every day. It literally happens everywhere every day. It's just now in this modern age of connection, the news is blasting it 24 hours a day. And it is the main focus of the news because that is what's going to draw in the attention. So the argument, that's why video games should be banned. Okay, I get that argument, and I really don't have much to say against that argument other than the fact that the world is actually becoming a less violent place, and I think that video games might have more to do with that than these individual isolated attacks.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, I threw the question out there almost in a, like I said, a devil's advocate study. I mean,
Right.
there's actually a lot of research. And again, and I'll try to find the link and put it in. But they've done research into schizophrenia. So there's actually a virtual reality you put on, and you can put any person into it, and they put obviously the VR mask on, and it gives them experience what they think it's like to be a schizophrenic. So that things go all scrambled and stuff. And I think this could be the other way around. I mean, it's interesting you tie the two. I think computer games with the growing enlightenments coming around cannabis, I think if you marry the two, we're going to sort a lot of the PTSD out problems because you can do a lot
Oh,
of the stuff in that virtual world. So there's
yeah.
always balances, and that's the great thing about freedom, isn't it? There's always balances.
Yeah.
It's what we do with it.
As long as you have a personal balance, because I know some people who would never leave their virtual world if they didn't have to, and then there's going to have some social repercussions there as well.
Right.
But
Well, dude,
I guess to each
I'm
their own.
telling you this now. Dude, don't you think how many percentage? We're all men. We're all men in this conversation. How many percent? What's the good percentage of men that the minute sex robots come across are never going to leave the house? Let's be real, dude. Just be real. I mean, once they get that thing going, exactly. Let's be real, man.
Well, it's that. It's already, the fact that people are already addicted to cable television and, programming. We're all already sucked into our virtual realities, whatever they are. They're just changing, and they have been changing over time.
Hey, Jacob, your mic isn't on, or you have one that's very far away that's on, because I heard you, but it was very distant.
Yeah, check your mic, bro.
Testing. Hello.
That's kind of my style. You know, it's what I do.
Distant.
I don't know what I'm doing. Testing, check, 1, 2.
I can hear you, but it's distant.
How's that?
Go to the gear cog and double check what mic input you have.
Yeah, you have the wrong mic turned on, I think. I don't know. Thanks for making it, though. I appreciate it, man. Well, I think he's testing his mic. This is my friend Jacob. He's a writer, another artist. I've been trying to get him in here to kind of poke his brain about the way he could integrate writing into sessions, because I know this is art and music, but I think writing has its place here as well.
Yeah, writing kind of fits into both of those.
Yep, exactly.
Indeed.
And we're a lot of the technologies in Bitcoin and blockchains and made safe and Ethereum and all this stuff that's going on is very cypherpunk in nature. So I thought he should jump in and pick our brains if he wanted.
If you can figure out how a microphone works.
Yes.
Magnetic coil.
I game with him all the time. I'm not sure why his mic isn't working today.
But because he probably has his mic set to game instead of to video chat. Now I have to go through a whole rigmarole to get my mic to be on the web browser.
I know. I don't even want to show you my setup I have. Hello?
Heard him in the background-ish.
I heard you.
Well, just on that one, I was just discussing before Jacob came in. I mean, I mentioned this, and it was a stat again. It was just reinforced to me again this week, and I'm sure you may be aware of it in your part of the world. But this is why I mentioned about how the sort of the marriage between how we're becoming enlightened with our views around cannabis and how things in the virtual world are going. But I mean, I thought this in relation to. I mean, this is one of the things that's always good to bring these things down to these facts. 22 American soldiers a day die in America alone when they come back after the war from PTSD.
Yep.
Now, see, this is a disgrace. When I heard that if ISIS were killing 22 Americans on a daily basis, we would never hear the end of it. And yet there's military guys coming back, and I've got nothing. I'm not discussing that. I'm not going to go the whole rabbit hole of the war thing, but you've still got human beings that are coming back, and 22 a day are taking their lives. That's a disgrace to your nation. It really is.
I absolutely agree. I actually work for a film production company that is contracted with the Air Force and the Army, and right now, so many, I'm not even kidding, 75% of our projects are focused on suicide prevention. So, we do try to do what we can about it, but inevitably the solution is to end warfare. And like you said, I don't want to go down that path because it's literally the darkest and deepest, most shithole fucked up path there is to go down. But yeah, it's becoming. It is a huge deal, and it's not advertised. No one knows. No one knows that statistic in America. I'm sure that more people outside of this country are aware of that statistic than people inside this country.
So that to me is shocking. I mean, it's same over here. I mean, it's same over here. I mean, over here, 11 men just generally in the UK die a day, and I think it's just shocking that. And do you know what, the reason I raise this is because a lot of the male. And this is again not a rabbit hole I want to go down, but because of the culture we generally live in America and the West, the male has been suppressed so much so that he's finding his releases in games. And that's why I mention this. But I think the solution is in all the things that males like to do: play heavy music, play games, and be creative. And I think that's what we're gonna. I think this is the biggest battle we face in the next 5 years as creative people. Is trying to tap into that, and where we can almost go out and tap into that whole thing for males again, and make them understand that we can be creative, and there's actually a pathway rather than just facing that bleak wall of depression and then suicide.
Right. And that's, yeah, absolutely. I do think that the male gender has been, you know, we've suppressed all of our feminine qualities. We've suppressed our ability to deal with our emotions. We've suppressed our ability to ask other people for help. We've suppressed all of these things because they're not manly. They're not, you're not being enough of a man if you are showing emotion and asking a teacher for help because you're sad or upset. And that starts in elementary school. That's when the conditioning starts for men. And so it's a problem. It will start to be fixed. More and more men are, opening up to their feminine side. More and more men are becoming okay with being sensitive, and
My
it's
daughter
becoming
paints my nails.
right.
Dude,
It's something that
I wouldn't even. I was just going to say on that. I don't even think it's a male. I don't even think it's a masculine feminine thing. I think this is my point. I'm really kind of wider on, and this relates to the American soldier one. I mean, you're going to put any human being in that kind of horrific experience. It's not a female emotion to sort of be feeling the crying on that, because those guys are doing it. You read anything from the First World War, these guys are feeling. They'll be crying their eyes out every night, and they'll be doing it amongst themselves, and they don't feel any kind of feminine stuff about that. It's like you said. It's when they come back into the culture that the whole thing about being crying is deemed female. It's not female. It's a human emotion, and I think that's what we need to evolve into. Like, there are just human emotions. There's no masculine or feminine. It's just what it is to be a human being.
Well, that's that's inevitably what comes with my acknowledgement of men, both men and women having traditionally masculine and feminine qualities. I mean those in the traditional sense. Obviously, those qualities are found within each human, and they aren't masculine and feminine. They are just human qualities. Empathy is a human thing to experience. Obviously, experiencing the trauma of warfare would be equally traumatic to a male or a female. I can't even imagine. I feel traumatic and sometimes like slightly anxious and potentially even feeling like a little bit of PTSD after I watch like a war movie. And that's so far separated from real warfare, it's not even funny.
I guess I should probably play the Battle Within, considering the context of today's session, huh?
Well, the
Don't you
battle
think
with the only battle there is.
Don't you think it's an interesting dichotomy? And I think about this a lot. I mean, I think about this a great deal, that all the things we've spoken about, but yet the generation who really last faced this, my grandparents' generation through the Second World War, they never spoke about it. My granddad never spoke about it. He didn't want to talk about it, and I think he was, it wasn't like he was a fucked up guy who was sitting there in his room, shaking like he got through it. But that generation never spoke about it. Maybe, I don't know. Is there a wisdom to be learned from that? I don't know, because we seem to be going the other way and saying, oh, it's all about opening up and expressing yourself, and then that whole generation got through by not speaking. I don't know. I'm just opening that question up. That's just a ballpark I chuck out to everyone. I don't know.
I definitely think there is pros and cons to both experience. Obviously, I do think that it's kind of been shown that opening up and sharing those experiences has proven to be helpful for people that are suffering with something like PTSD or depression or anxiety.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we got you now.
Holy crap, this is incredible. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I'm excited that my mic is working. It's
No.
so exciting.
Join the conversation now.
The video's not working now.
No, it's on my PC at home. I don't have a mic. Besides, my mug is about as pretty as it gets in that photo anyway, so you don't need the 9 o'clock shadow. Anyway, sorry, I want to bypass that and go straight into the conversation at hand, I think the difference is between the people who were experiencing World War II and kind of dealing it on their own is that they didn't necessarily get fed the idea that their emotions were important, but they understood that they were real. Whereas now I feel like we're getting to this point where everyone is told that their emotions are important, and therefore there's this escalation of my emotions outrank yours. Whereas before it was a let's see who can repress it the most. Now it's a let's see who can express it the most, which is inherently problematic because then you get the self-victimhood. Instead of just trying to help a problem, it's a no, I'm worse off than you. Let's just all acknowledge that I have the worst life out of all of us here because that means that I get to make the rules. And it's become this sort of weird inverse power play. I'm the most damaged, therefore I get the most power.
Are you calling us a generation of victims, Jacob?
I'm saying humanity doesn't shy away from the chance to seize power, and that is something that is very clearly present in the idea of. I don't want to call it because PTSD is different. Like, and that's not to say that like legitimate like people who have been in conflict and like seen people die and experienced that blood on their hands, but everyone is being given that chance. Like everyone is being able to say like no, I've been damaged by this experience. And I don't think that's necessarily valuable, and I think it drowns out the valid voices, like the people with legitimate PTSD.
Yeah.
Everyone is just able to say, "Oh no, I have this." Like it's to become a crutch.
That might be American centric. Tim, can you give us a European version of that? Is it like that there?
That is a valid point.
There's a phrase over here. I've known all my lifetime. It's been said that America catches a cold, and 5 years later, down the line, we catch it. The idea being we very much follow what you do, but it takes 5. In my lifetime, I've seen this go from 5 years to 2 years to now. It's just literally instantly. So all the things you're talking about, I think they're more prevalent in your part of the world. But equally, the same vibe is going on over here. The same thing. And
Sure.
this is why I think relates to what you just said there, Jacob, because I think one of the things that's happened over here, and this is probably the difference that I'm giving perspective from Europe compared to where you are in the States, we've had the same general mentality, and what happens is suppression of thought happens, then suppression of speech happens, and all this happens is, and then we're getting on what's going on in the streets of Europe right now because of suppression of thought.
Absolutely.
And no one's left this, and this is a dangerous point because I have to say this, you're in America, but to me, when it relates back to what we were just saying, these are dangerous days we live in. You know, we could be living on the brink of World War III, and it seems to be, and like you said there, just Jacob, and people are worried about, oh, but I was triggered because someone called me, and it's like, really, there are more important things in this world right now. Humans are being slaughtered. And we need to get over to this point, and I think that's the enlightenment point where we need to have these conversations, and that's what it is, where it's around PTSD with male and their emotions. We all need to get over ourselves and stop taking ourselves so seriously and get down and talk about things.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. And I don't want to take anyone else's thunder because obviously there's 5 of us in this conversation, and 2 is not a good number for that. But I agree. But I think that statistically, as was mentioned earlier, this is the safest point in human history. Like we can look at the places in the world that are inherently screwed up, but it's like historically, those are the places that have always been screwed up. Like obviously, it's been exacerbated by American foreign policy and blah 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 politics and all that crap. But like there's always been murder, there's always been death, and I feel like it does a disservice to the progress we've seen in the last 200 years, going from the steam age to this area where we're able to have this conversation literally from like thousands of miles away. Like things are getting better, and the doom and gloom aspect of it, I think, is inherently dangerous because it allows people to kind of seize these more dangerous thoughts of how do we fix this? Well, we fix this by banning this or banning that or attacking this. So, with respect to what you're saying, and I agree for a large portion of it, we definitely do need to get over ourselves because we are all inherently self-involved. Because I mean, what else is there when we turn off the lights and we try to go to sleep? Who else is there but us? We are the ones we know the best, but. It's I suppose it's a different line, not necessarily a finer one than necessarily the one you were talking. I don't know.
I'll just give you an example. This is kind of my example. I think we're much in synergy on this. This is what I'm saying. So we live in times. This is what I was saying about you asked about America. See, I know this is very prevalent in America. And it's a big thing over here at the moment. So we've got this fear about we live in a rape culture. So you've got all these things, and like you're just saying, the smallest of things now, and someone, and we're starting to associate really, someone, he called me this or he did that, and that's now, I'm being feel. And what we do with that, this is my point. There is real rape culture going on, and the point is we're
Absolutely.
not talking about that and this is what I'm talking about. There's certain things we've got to this point in civilization where there is actual shit going on and real evil going on, and as you were saying, Jacob, we're not talking about it because it's kind of like, we're all feeling so self-important, and I'm the biggest victim, and therefore that gives me some sort of status to have my voice outshine everybody else. And all the time this is going on, real actual, for want of a better word, evil is carrying on, and nobody seems to be bothered by it. And that was the point I'm making. That all the time we turn away and get self-important about ourselves, there's blokes being thrown off roofs because they're gay. There's women being walking around the parts of this world in black polyester bags because their men tell them that's that. And this is 2016. We need to get over this, and the way you get over it, and I'm really passionate about this, is by having these kind of conversations. It's the heart of everything, is having the ability to talk about things. And like you said, Jacob, not to feel so seriously about, but I can't talk about a thing because I'm going to get upset. Well, whatever. It's a word. It's a conversation, and that's where we need to get to. And that's exactly what you were saying, Asai. Because all the time that we're doing this, the energy of us as human beings, when we're creating, making music, and having these kind of conversations, we're not the ones out on battlefields killing human beings. And that's the great progress we've made. Because as we just said, and you just said there, Jacob, you haven't got to go back 200 years. Go back to New York 100 years ago. You were all fighting. This is probably the first time ever in civilization that we actually have conversations. We're not just going out there with machetes and guns and just kill each other over an argument. So we're
I mean, I do
definitely...
both, but I respect your point.
Brilliant.
Does anyone else want in? I don't want to occupy all of this. Obviously, there's more to it
I
than
was
that.
just going to say something totally off topic, and I was going to tell you to talk to the tip bot in the chat room there, and it'll give you a little bit of Bitcoin automatically.
Why don't you tell me how to live my life? You're not my dad. I'm watching a TV show right now, and you are all very white.
Hey, man.
What?
I was going to say something snarky, and it didn't come to me.
Well,
Hey, you stupid man, you.
There you go. You with your douchey finger and your douchey face, staring off in the middle of some suburb in Nagoya.
We're over here. We're over here. Looking.
Right.
Hey Tim, nice painting. Is that thing coming? Is that the same painting that's been in the background that you're still working on? It looks different.
I wanted to ask about that. Did you change the lighting so it just highlights the horse's ass?
Because it kicks ass.
I mean, I like it.
I like horse ass as much as the next guy.
Hey, who doesn't, man? I mean, that's,
Fire.
2016.
Yes, I am working on it, Brady, to give you a short answer to that. The only difference is tonight is I haven't got the main lighting on, so it's just the low lighting. But yeah, if it's like you said, hopefully we're going to get we need to be putting this out on some sort of channel that's into horse asses. You know what I mean? There's bound to be a Twitch page. Come on, Chris. Where's the Twitch page for people who are into horses asses, dude?
Well, this is called 4chan.
No, I was just gonna say I like the progress of the painting. If it's one you've been working on, isn't that the same one you always have in the background?
No. No. The one you're probably thinking is a completely different painting. But yeah,
Gotcha.
this is without going into too much. And again, I don't want to sort of like take over the spotlight. But this is a very personal painting to me, which I know we've spoken about, Brady. But as I told you, I had a near fatal car crash, and this is kind of all related to that because that's the scene I was in. And so it's a very deep personal question, which is quite again. circling around the topic we've been talking about, because this is all about creativity, and it's one of the things I learned. I mean, I'll be real about this. I've got no shame. We're being real men here. You know,
Yeah.
that's what got me through it. This is what I've always talked about. Creativity got me through some dark experiences, you know, and that's why I love doing creativity, and I think this is all about, because we need to start, as you were saying earlier on, we need to start saying that this is what we should all be striving for, being creative, rather than this whole, as we were briefly discussing earlier on, it's breaking down, real breaking the stereotypes down is when we just go, can we just let all people just be themselves? Nothing like harming me, I don't give a shit what you do. Do you know what I mean? And that's the real evolution, and that's, like you said, Brady, these you know, these things like painting, what you just said about music or writing, anything like that, dude, and that's, you know, this, that's why I always say, when you say, oh, yeah, people really like that picture, to me it's what we always talk about. That has a lot of personal issues to me, and you'll never know that. And that's like you say, you'll write a piece of music, and you may have one thought in your head, and I'll listen to it, and you're like, oh. And that's what I love about creativity, because it's like almost tapping into this universal thing. But what we put out, and then what someone else sees it from the other end or hears it from the other end, and what they gain from it, we never know. All we dare is that little conduit in the middle, just to do what we have to do.
Art is a Rorschach test.
Damn. Sorry, I couldn't actually drop a mic and have it be heard, so I just settled with that, if you'll forgive me. It's been a long day.
I got a mic I can drop. Here, look. Watch. Here, see this one? Right here.
No, I don't. All I see is the side of your head. Oh, there we go. Yeah, got it. Okay, drop, tag. Yeah! That was so satisfying. Thank you.
So go on, Brady, man. You got any track you've been working on, or, and again, sorry, man. You were sorry before. You know, you were going to play us a sort of track or anything. Just sort of, Brady, you know, let's get back into music, man.
Yeah, I was gonna just play The Battle Within because we got 2 new people in here, and this is the one I'm actually going to record because Casey's been on me about it. It's one of her favorite songs, and I haven't recorded it, so I'll play it to try and get back into the groove, and that way when I record tonight, it'll be in my head, and I'll actually do it.
The right to get mad at you for anything. I still want my animal knitted hood thing, so just point that out to her.
What one did you want? Did you want what one?
I want a red panda.
Okay.
They are adorable.
I'll let her know. All right, I'll let her know, and I'll tell her to get her ass to working. All right. Hey, by the way, thank you both, Osui and Jacob, for coming on. Do either one of you wear hats?
No. My head is too round.
No. Your head is too round for hats?
I like hats.
You like hats?
It's too round for hats.
All right, then
He's got a fine head for hats. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, send me your address, and I'll send you a Sessions hat. This is the actual wrong logo. The one actually right on my thing there. That's the real logo.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Google
thinner.
pixelated the damn thing. I don't know why they pixelated it. I'm pissed about that. But anyway, the hat has that logo on it.
Are you fat shaming? Because that one's thinner. I feel like... I'm sorry. Go play your song.
All right, here. This is The Battle Within. Osui, give me your address before you leave, and I'll send you a Sessions hat for coming
Yeah, and
on.
did you get that Dropbox link that I put?
Yep, absolutely.
That song actually would go directly into kind of what Tim was saying about his paintings and his art.
Okay.
It's like directly the same.
Okay, do we have your permission to play it on Sessions tonight? Can we
absolutely.
play that?
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
I'll play my song, and then I'll while you guys are talking, I'll get yours set up on the laptop over here, and I'll play it for everyone over there too. So, anyway, without further ado, this is The Battle Within. It kind of goes along the lines of what we were talking about with PTSD and conflicts and all that, and this more so. It's like a Rorschach test as well. I mean, you could take it as an internal battle, or you could take it as an external battle, or it could be about a relationship. It could be about a family member. I try to keep it open to interpretation as much as possible. But here you go. Is that too loud?
No, it's good.
Beautiful.
second here. Mine is a little weird here. There we go. Wars are started every day. Some will say that they are necessary. Some don't know what they are fighting about. Some will say that they are fighting proud. They won't let go of the battle that they hold. They say there's reason, can't you understand? They'll hollow me and they'll hollow them. Hollow them. Yes, they'll hollow them. Hatred washes through their closed minds. If we could only stop the time, we would let go and walk away from a world that has now grown cold. Cover up mistakes, they make, break, and take your soul. They will not look back and think that they are now to be hollow. Round and round and down and out. Now take it back, now turn around. Turn around.
Woo!
Do I clap now? What's the etiquette here? I don't.
You're not allowed to clap. You
Oh,
just
shit.
tipping some
You need a palm
Bitcoin,
to
man.
palm, like finger touch.
Yosh, yosh.
Clap.
The little.
Golf clap.
All right.
Just one hand against the palm.
Yeah, right into the microphone, like.
How's that? Was that annoying enough?
That was perfect.
All right, fantastic. All right, what are you drinking?
Me?
Any of you? I don't care.
Brown liquid.
Water.
Urine. I don't like brown liquid. Maybe kidney failure. I don't. What's happening?
Yes. All
Good.
liquid.
And water. I mean, I'm not so much a purist, but I respect it.
Can you guys hear that?
Yes.
How are you playing it over the Google? We had this issue where we were trying to figure this out. How are you playing
It's
it over
magic. Why are you questioning it?
Google? So that I can do it.
Oh, I get it. You're jealous.
Yes. I'm the Google master here.
Lies.
In our lives.
Says an audio error occurred. I don't know why.
No.
Where'd
That
you break it, Brady?
drop was too dope. That's all that was. That was just
The
jealousy.
drop.
You
The
broke the
drop.
Google.
Okay, now it's back.
Oh, there. Almost touched. There.
Tight. Thank you guys for listening.
Oh yeah, thanks for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you use your own voice? Because it doesn't sound anything like you. I know there's filters involved, but
Right,
is it
yeah,
real,
that
or do
it
you- or
is
do you
my
get a
own
roommate?
voice, but it is like totally messed with.
What's your
Have you ever
now?
considered using somebody else's voice and like directing them to sing or speak the way that you would like to, just so that you don't have to do it?
I have recorded a choir before for a album that I was working on, and that was a really interesting experience. But if I can, I prefer to just sing it myself and just make it sound the way I want it to sound. It's just easier for me to do it that way.
What's your workstation of choice?
I am currently, let's see, you can kind of see my setup.
Oh God, the motion sickness.
The motion sickness. I've got a Kai Advance 49 key keyboard right there, and then this is my setup: Profire M Audio Profire 2626 interface, running into a Mac Pro right now that I just got a couple months ago. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I started using a Mac to record recently, and man, I would have a hard time going back. Everything just plugs in, and just works. And
Right.
PC,
You've never used me to record.
Mac.
I mean, yeah, yeah. See, is puns. Yeah, is that where we've fallen now?
Yeah,
Patches, really? God damn it.
we're done with music. Now we're to
Okay.
stand up.
All right. Well, that's fair. I mean, I haven't got shit, but that's fair.
Digital comedy tour? Come on, guys.
Enough liquor, anything's possible.
To be fair, he's funnier than
Water.
most stand-up comedians I know. He should.
Well, Brady, man. I mean, you've introduced Jacob, so I'm gonna ask you direct. Jacob, you mentioned you were a writer, and I mean, sorry we mentioned everyone. He's doing a creative writing degree. I've done a creative writing degree. So tell me about your writing, and is there any way I can get hold of it and check it out?
Yes, I recently, at the behest of a friend, bought a domain name through WordPress because desperation/sadness equals poor financial decisions. But Yeah, that's rumandwriting.com. Rum being my drink of choice and writing being my poison. So that's a thing, and not with an ampersand, but with the actual words, because apparently DMAC addresses don't appreciate numbers, let alone letters, and ampersands are still forbidden. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I don't even
Rum?
obey them. Rumandwriting.com. It's this glorious little WordPress page I'm actually looking at now because I knew I would be asked this question. And it's got a bunch of old stuff and a handful of new things, and it's it ranges from creative to I don't want to say ruminatory because that's not a word, but ruminations, contemplations, and just drunken scrawlings. So it's it's a fun, positive, happy place filled with unicorns mostly, some of which don't murder people, which is neat.
I'm scrolling through this. I see no unicorns.
You haven't scrolled hard enough, sir.
Scrolling.
Scroll harder. Scrolling intensifies. You're goddamn right.
Like one of those
Oh,
eye
oh,
charts.
oh,
After
shit.
you scroll, you start seeing images.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly.